Hello everybody and welcome to the Homestead's Facebook page and YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be explaining how you can propagate plants that you already own by doing some cuttings. So first off, I'll show you some of the materials I gathered to do this. Just these reusable plastic tags will really go a long way when you're doing a bunch of cuttings. I've got a little Sharpie there and it's a permanent marker, but you can always scratch the marker off, so it's always a good idea to tag what you're writing or what you're planting. I have some root stimulator. I've never really used it before, but it's supposed to contain some compounds that will help stimulate root growth. I went with the gel stuff. I feel like that will probably stick to the cuttings better. A clean pair of pruners. I have a spray water bottle here, some potting mix, and just some pots left over from different things I've purchased over the years. So here you can see the cuttings. I started a video already, but the phone crashed out, so I'm starting from scratch here. On the left I have a red currant, in the middle I have two white currants, and on the right I have Wellington black currants. Okay, so one quick tip before we get started. When you're using pruners, it's suggested excuse me, that you clean them a couple of times a year. Alcohol swabs, or if you don't have those, soap and water would help. And the idea is to keep them nice and sharp so that your cuts are clean. So you want to try to avoid tearing where possible. Okay, so we'll start with the red one here. I strip all the leaves. Each junction where the leaves come out is a potential spot for root growth. So I'm going to make two cuttings out of this one. I always leave one leaf. Some people will cut them in half, some people will not leave any at all. So this has got a new one right here at the top. That should do fine. There's my red. You always want to cut just below a bud. And then you're going to have one junction where the roots will be nice and deep in the soil. So this has a brand new leaf pushing out, so I'm just going to leave it at that one. And these ones I'll probably be able to get at least 3 out of. This has got a secondary growth on it, so I'll chop that. See if I can use that. There's a good spot. Good spot. Good spot. Okay, so from 4 branches, I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 potential plants, which is really great because these range anywhere from about $20 to $30. So I'm just going to pause the video and I'll strip all these, put the soil into the pots, and show you what we do from there. Okay, so here I have the root stimulator, and here I have a cutting. So I'm just gonna place this right inside for 5 to 6 seconds. Doesn't matter if it's a little bit longer, it's not gonna hurt anything. So there's that. Put it right down in nice and deep. I haven't really experimented with these very much to know what they prefer. Some cuttings like to have the same amount of buds below ground as above ground. Others I've experimented with have done best with all the buds except the newest one with the leaf, like all the ones below ground and then just one above ground. But I'm gonna guess these ones, you know, I'm gonna put them in just maybe a little better than halfway. Now this isn't very deep, so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna smear some onto the stem itself and onto the sections where I removed the leaves. Okay, so hopefully that'll turn into 2 red currants. When you're putting the stem into the soil, you don't want to lose all of the product that you just placed onto the stem. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the stake and I'm creating a little space on previous cuttings. At the junctions, I have scraped them right down to the wood. I'm not sure if that's an appropriate thing to do or not, but that's what I've been doing up until this point. These ones, I'm not doing it quite as much, not quite as close to the stem itself. Another important tip is that you want to use the woody growth. So this year's growth is going to be like this one. You can see here, if I can zoom, you can see that this is green and soft, flexible. I mean, these currants are pretty firm, so I'm not too worried. But a lot of the plants that you'll try to propagate, the new growth is going to be very soft, and when you push it into the soil, chances are you're going to bend the stem and snap it. So you don't want to do that. You want to try to use the woody sections for your cuttings. And anywhere where there's a breach in the stem itself, you could also rub the root stimulator on there. It's not going to hurt. May be helpful. This one. With this stuff being gel, I'm not as concerned with the duration that I'm holding it inside the gel. The gel's gonna stick to it all by itself. If you're using liquid root stimulator, that might be a bit of a different story. So I'm spreading these out evenly inside the potting mix. I don't want their roots to grow together and you know, be tangled. I mean, by the time you're transplanting them, they should be strong enough to survive some root damage, but I prefer to avoid it if I can. It's just gonna lead to a stronger plant for you. So, okay, this one, maybe, yeah, I'll just take that leaf off there. Another important tip, once you plant your cuttings, I've mentioned this in a previous video, but once you plant your cuttings into your soil, into your potting mix, you're going to want to keep them in the shade. Because there's no roots on this, and there may still be some leaves depending on how you do it, it's vital that you keep them in the shade. If you expose them to large amounts of sunlight, then through photosynthesis with the leaves and just the heat of the day, the plant is not going to be able to replace the water that it's losing through the leaves and through the stem, and you're not going to have a very high success rate. In fact, I would guess that you would have a 0% success rate if you were to take these and just put them in a greenhouse in the sun or place them on your lawn in the sun. Chances are none of them are going to survive because they don't have any roots developed whatsoever, right? So yeah, you want to keep them in a shady spot, and once you see new leaves pushing through, then that's going to be your sign, your indicator that they're ready for more sunlight. And I would gradually, over a couple weeks, give them a little more sunlight each day. Maybe start off with a couple hours, 2, 3, 4 hours maybe, and you know, bit by bit increase it. You don't want them to get sunburned, but there you go. So 4 branches, 5 branches, and the potential here for 3, 4, 7, 10, 12, 14 new plants. And I mean, like I said before, these are $20 to $30 plants depending on where you're buying them. You know, that's a lot of money that you can save. It's great, right? It's great stuff. So the last thing I'm going to do before I go and put these in the greenhouse in the shade is I'm going to really give the soil a good soak. People who nurseries or nursery suppliers, when they do cuttings, generally they're going to be doing a lot of cuttings all at once. Hundreds and hundreds of cuttings. I've seen videos where guys are taking, you know, 400 or 500 blueberry cuttings all at once. Sorry. So some people, you know, when you have a large volume of cuttings, then you're gonna create different systems to ensure that these things remain moist. I've seen some setups where they have pipe hooked up to their water supply and timers, and every 10 seconds they get a little spray like this. This is taking a while. So you really want to give them a good soak when you first put them in the soil. That's going to get rid of air pockets in and around the stem where you've placed it into the soil. You don't want air pockets in there. Run out of water here. But you know, if I was doing this, I am doing this, I check every day and make sure that the soil is still moist. You want a couple more tips. The bottom of these pots, excuse me, they have holes in the bottom. You don't want sitting water in here. That's gonna really lessen your chances. They're gonna drown. They're gonna be more susceptible to rot and different things like that. So make sure that you have, you know, the ability for the water to escape. That's really important. And yeah, make sure that the soil's moist. You know, make sure every day you check it out and that the soil's wet. And these guys have the ability to pull in some water and replace the water that they're going to be naturally losing through the processes of photosynthesis. Anyways, that's about it for today. I will show an update on these little guys in a few weeks, and see how they're doing, so I can show you how they're doing, and you can see that I'm not just making up a bunch of stuff. Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys, and as always, if you like what you're seeing and you want some more, you could subscribe. I really appreciate every share and like. It gives me a lot of motivation, and I've been getting a few of those lately, so thanks for that. And one more thing I'd like to say is YouTube has really kind of amazed me. It's amazing how, you know, there's people all over the world that are seeing these videos. I mean, I don't have a huge following or anything like that, but it's growing. And so far, people in 30 countries have seen the stuff that we're doing here in our little yard in Canada. And hopefully we're helping some people create, you know, a more sustainable lifestyle, and have some healthier food on their plate, and healthier food for their kids. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.